Lake listeners, thank you for tuning in for more of Season 5 with our Grow, Thrive, Inspire podcast, a podcast created to help you grow both personally and professionally, to thrive with clear goals and visions, and to inspire. Whether you're a full-time resident of Lake of the Ozarks, a visitor, or hope to be either in the future, we think that you're going to enjoy this episode as much as we do. So today on the show, we have two very special guests and friends of mine. This husband and wife power couple are broker owners of 3 RE/MAX offices in Oklahoma, RE/MAX at Home, Norman and Edmond, Oklahoma, and RE/MAX Preferred. Their brokerage is the highest RE/MAX office by volume in the state of Oklahoma. Additionally, they are huge supporters of Children's Miracle Network. With 15 years of experience apiece, it's my pleasure to welcome John and Emily Askin. John and Emily, again, thank you so much for being here today. I'm super excited to reconnect with you both, talk about your success, and talk about today's topic of growing a business.
Well, hello, and thank you for having us. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome to be part of this. I've been watched some the other day, and I love all you guys up there. So
awesome. Thank you so much. So, John and Emily, let's just start with you telling our listeners more about yourselves and where you found the passion to do what you do. Like, John, I know you were previously a loan officer, and Emily, you were in insurance. So, what sparked real estate for you guys and being business owners in general?
I'll let you start.
Well, for me, I was doing mortgages for about 10 years. And honestly, one day I had some closings and I was there to transaction with another agent. And I thought, you know what? I can probably do that better than they do it. That's really how I transitioned out. Came from the mortgage banking business, ended up in the mortgage broker business, which can be a disaster in itself. And so real estate just kind of seemed to be that next step after my first 10 years of doing mortgages.
Yeah. And I am being quite a bit younger than John. I was in insurance. So he was currently selling real estate, and I had just been selling insurance for maybe 6 months to a year when we actually kind of started to get to know each other a little bit better. And he was selling real estate at the time and was like, well, maybe you should get your real estate license and come work with me. I don't think he had any idea that it was going to be anything that it is today, but he is basically the one always recruiting, is the one who recruited me into the business.
I always say she was my first recruit. Probably had different intentions than I do today, but Yeah.
I love that, especially since I've talked to you personally about recruiting efforts, John. That just is like perfect story.
Yeah, exactly.
So on a personal note, John, I know that you're originally from Lake of the Ozarks. You grew up in Sunrise Beach and went to high school like me here in Camdenton. So what do you both love about this market and the area of Lake of the Ozarks?
Well, let's be honest. My high school was probably your elementary school.
Yep.
Right. Your middle school. So, a lot has changed. We started going as a family to the lake in 73. And from what it was then to where it is now, where people all over the world know about Lake of the Ozarks, right? My brother lives over in Osage Beach, and his 2 newest neighbors are from California. And they saw it on TV, they saw it online. And I'm assuming they're the type of person that can live probably a summer in one place and a winter somewhere else. And so it just I'm sure just gives them the ability. So I think the lake has changed from what it was, in the 70s and the 80s and probably the early part of the 90s to where it is today. I always know talking with Jeff and you guys up there, what the market's like. And, it is a unique second home market because of its size and kind of what it offers being in the middle of this country. Attracts people from every direction. So to me, this knowing the history of the lake and where it's at now is a really cool thing.
It really is. And go Lakers, right?
Yeah. What is a Laker anyway?
Yeah. And
bucket of water.
Yeah, pretty much.
My only tie to the lake is just purely personal. Just the memories that we've created there, going to visit John's family and so on and so forth. I never would have spent any time up there if it wasn't for them. So it's a beautiful area, but my ties are strictly just personal.
Well, I love it.
Yeah.
So you previously mentioned that you were very hands-on owners and that you both don't sell real estate currently today. So walk me through how you both started your business and if you knew then that you were going to own 3 Remax offices and be where you are today.
Well, there's a lot to it, really. We are still very, very much involved because we still consider ourselves a very young company. But we've been doing this for many years, and we were at an independent brokerage. And then when we left that independent brokerage and started our own independent brokerage, we were wanting to grow. We knew we wanted something more than what we had, but we knew we didn't have the resources or the tools to provide it. And so funny enough, Remax actually called. This is how they recruited us. They called and left a very vague message on my voicemail. And I, of course, was like, what property is this person calling me about? And so anyway, after meeting with them, I think it was like literally one lunch, and we drove up to Kansas City, and then we had said yes. It was really a no-brainer for us to know that this is where we belong, just based off of everything that the Remax system offers. And so we knew. I think we met with them in February, and in April we had signed and had agreed that we would open our first franchise in the Edmond area. And it's just been going since.
How long were you guys selling or practicing being an agent before you guys became broker owners?
Well, I've had my license 18 years. We've had the franchise 5 years. The first year, 2 years, I was still selling because we still had to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Right.
We'd own a franchise. We had a bigger office. We had more debt. So, it was selling was what still had to happen. But when you get to a stage where you want to grow an office in a different way, and that's by servicing your agents, you can't be out there,
Mm-hmm.
You guys have a unique situation because, you have multiple partners, and they came from being agents in already in the brokerage into the ownership, and have husband and wife couples that are able to balance those teams and run and own the brokerage at the same time. So, but to make that change over to just being a broker owner is not easy, and sometimes when you see a hot market like we've been in, you're thinking, well, I could just step back
Just
into
take
that.
1 or 2 deals.
But honestly, it's for us growing the offices to where they can independently run themselves. And that's by having a great support team or staff. And that's what we really try to focus on is creating a brokerage that is building to, I won't say run itself. It takes many people to run it, but to where we don't have to be as hands-on. Right now, like Emily said earlier, we're still very new, and hands-on is what we are. It's still part of our baby.
We may always be. And I will tell you too that coming from one of the things we knew what we didn't want to be in terms of, we came from an independent brokerage where we knew we didn't want to be that way. We didn't want to run that way. And so that was really a lot of how we were able to kind of grow and run our first office. But in terms of, the not producing, even now, our goal is to always make sure that our agents are the most successful. Their business is our business, right? We want them to have these success stories, and we love to see their business grow. And so even if sometimes owners will call us directly from California and say, hey, I've got a client for you. And instead of taking that, we pass those back off. We never want to take from their plate. We always want to make sure that they're taken care of.
Well, and I love that you brought that up, Emily, because it's definitely one of my favorite aspects of my job within our brokerage is not only like watching them succeed on a business level, but also on their personal level and reaching their personal goals and like really changing that lifestyle. It's such a like contagious, positive, like high almost that you're on with them. And it's so much fun to watch them be able to succeed and grow. I just love that aspect. And I think it's a really good trait as far as leadership goes, being able to be hands-on and then also be able to help them thrive at the same time. It's very unique. And I love that about our job. So transitioning a little bit more with that same topic, what in your opinions are kind of some important aspects or tips to starting a business? I mean, I love that you guys keep saying that you're fresh and still hands-on, so you probably have a lot of answers to this question.
Well, I would say the biggest thing for us when we got started in 2017 was the action part of it. Obviously there's a lot of planning, there's a lot of budgeting, there's a lot of goals. Where do we want to be? And then of course there's, we had an idea of a vision and a mission. And of course it's been refined many, many times since then. But I would say the biggest thing for us is the action part, is knowing what we want and then going out and doing it.
Yeah, I think, whether you're talking real estate, right, whether it's brokerage or agents or even starting a business, there's so many things that go into it. It's not just opening the doors. Emily and I talk a lot about systems. We're a big momentum office, and that system is obviously built for real estate, but you can take the pieces out of it and use it in any business. And as business owners and have been growing and seeing the changes, we knew when we had our first independent office that we didn't feel like we could grow anymore. We didn't feel like we had the systems and the tools in place that we could go to the next level. And so we felt that in the short time that we had met with Remax, that they would provide those resources for us. And since then, you're still always learning, you're still always growing. Any kind of a self-employed business you get into, you can find yourself trying to do it all. And then you don't have any time at home, and you don't have, and you find you don't have any time to grow. So you have to start looking at that, a lot of pieces at a lot of times. We're fortunate that there's two of us, two brains are always better than one. And, but no, it's that part of running any type of business. It's hard work, and action happens on all parts, but it takes a lot, but anybody can do it, right? The United States.
Right. Yeah.
Free country. So
yeah, as long as you're taking action, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I think agents, I think some agents who get in the business maybe don't look at it as a business, and it can be a struggle for them also. When you get into the market that we've been in, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's easier. Some of us that have been around a couple decades, we've seen all the waves. I can remember when I was refinancing people back in 92 down to 9.5% from 14 to 18%, and they thought we were great.
Yeah.
2 years later, we were taking them to 7.5. 2 years after that, it went back to 9 again. And then it's slowly been on that decline. So
I think that's a great point, though. I was just talking about that with an agent this morning about how I remember in 2011 and 12, when I bought my first house, I think I had an interest rate of 12%. I was like, so 6 is still really good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's business, and you have to handle it like a business in the end. It doesn't come easy. If it comes easy, thank God for you, because the rest of us are busting our tail trying to make it happen. Because it is always evolving. Any business is evolving,
ebbs and flows,
right?
And you have to be able to move with it.
Yeah.
There's good days, there's bad days, there's those ups and those downs. And I think your longevity will certainly depend on how flexible you are, how well you can move with it.
Well, I'm super excited for this next question. It's probably the one that I wanted to ask you guys the most, but being a married couple obviously presents challenges at times. So how do you both work so well together to accomplish your goals? Or what would be some advice to fellow couples who work together? Like, where does that balance come in? Like, Emily, what are you strong with that John might not be, and vice versa?
Well, of course, I could make a joke here and just say that, I'm 99.9% right, and John knows it, and we just roll with it and go, as most wives are, right?
Yes.
But no, that is not the case. There are a few times where I am wrong. But I think for us, our biggest thing is...
You recorded that, right?
Yes, I did.
I know. Well,
all I need is that piece back. All I need.
I apologize when needed. But I think the biggest thing is knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. Like, we already know kind of what we gravitate towards. Like, John is a natural born recruiter. I'm not a natural born recruiter. Now, I'll sit in the recruiting room with you and we can talk to an agent, but I'm not one who's going to cold call. So I feel like we know our strengths and our weaknesses, and we know them really well. And then the other thing too is communication. There's a lot of times, especially as we're growing and we're being pulled in different directions throughout the day. Well, I still need to know what's happening on through his day that's affecting our company, just like he needs to know what's going on on my side. And so making sure that we're communicating that clearly, and that we, the expectations are being met. I would say that we know our strengths and we have to communicate.
I think people believe that when you're always together, that you're just always talking work. Now, we probably do talk work more than others. We have a 12-year-old, and sometimes he's like, can you guys just quit talking work?
Or sometimes he's talking work with us.
Yes.
Sometimes he has an opinion on the offices.
But there's also those times at 3 a.m. when Emily wakes up and she goes, what are we going to do about that agent? And I'm like, well, I don't know at 3 a.m. Then she goes back to sleep, and I lay there the rest of the morning trying to figure out what we're going to do. But no, I mean, and again, you guys know up there with, Jeff and Jason and everybody that, that it's just, you learn to work around it. It makes you stronger.
One thing that we've gotten really good at too is we know when to turn it off. So we know, like, especially on the weekends, like somebody may start with a conversation about work, and then nope, we're not doing it right now. We also have to make sure that we're respecting our time as a family, as a married couple, as a mom and a dad.
So strong and clear boundaries, it sounds like.
Yes.
I was just going to ask, it's funny that you said that, Emily, because I was just going to ask, like, do you guys ever turn it off? Like, or is it constant?
We do. And I think that's something that we had to learn how to do, right? You have to, and I think that that's come just also as things have grown, as we've taken on more staff, things kind of have naturally fallen into place, but it all still takes work.
Typical partnerships, each partner goes back to their own house.
Right.
There's not that one little quick question that can come up and you're like, oh, really? If we've been in different directions all day and I come home and plop on the couch and Emily's like, how's your day? I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. Right. So you have to learn, like she said, you have to learn how to keep it in its place when it needs to be. And we are very fortunate that our support team, our staff at the office, does everything they need to do to keep problems and issues to a minimal in front of us. We talk about working on and working in your business, and those are very big aspects of how you run your company. And we have just amazing support team staff at the office that allows us to sit and do these at to whatever time it is in the afternoon. So
absolutely. Delegation, I'm sure, is a huge part of it as you're continuing to level up and everything, getting people in the right place to allow you a little bit more wiggle room.
Yeah, for sure.
So circling back to starting each office that you now have, you purchased your first one in 2017, and then the second one in 2020, and then your third one last year in 21. Yes. What were some things that were like light bulbs to you both, like pulling the trigger on them and starting each one? Because I'm sure it was not like, oh yeah, it's Tuesday, let's start another one,
Yeah, no, I think, I think with the first one, we were new to RE/MAX. We were new to being kind of a husband and wife team brokerage, to all of a sudden now we're going to care for other people's careers and their lives. And we had to set all the plans in place. We had to really develop who we wanted our brokerage to be. I think there was so much work in the very first one because we didn't know anything. We didn't know how to really run a brokerage. We didn't know how. We knew what we wanted it to be.
We knew what we didn't want to be too,
right,
at the same time. And so anytime that we ask ourselves, is this the right decision for the office and for the agents? If it goes back to what we didn't want to be, then we know it's a no.
Yeah. We tried using a Ouija board for a while, but that just didn't work.
I love that. Well, with 3 offices now, do you guys have plans to continue to add more in the future or grow those particular 3 even more so? I mean, what kind of future plans do you have?
Well, we're always growing. We always want like-minded, career-oriented agents in our office. We are always growing. Of course, I would love to have more offices in the state, but I would definitely love to always have the market share in the Oklahoma City area, which is, the surrounding areas is like the Edmond, Norman, Oklahoma City. And I want those to continue to be top offices. And so that means that we're continuously recruiting to our offices.
And I think a lot of times it's really more about the opportunities, again, with the first one, starting it from scratch and not knowing it's been a process, right? We always say we're still like the mom and dad of that office. Our second office we felt that we wanted to start expanding, and the second office has probably been the bigger project, because our third office is a 40-year-old RE/MAX office that is well established. Our broker's been in that office for 28 years. Our director of production and finance has been in the office over 30 years. So really for us with that office, it was an opportunity from another RE/MAX owner to purchase the office. But you always have to keep your eyes open, right? You always have to, it's not about growing to how many offices we can have. That's only works great for RE/MAX in the region. For us, it's, we want to have, like Emily said, high-minded, career-minded agents that want to be at the right brokerage for the right reasons. Our goal is not to be like what we see in our market are these big monster brokerages of, 200, 300, 400 agents, where nobody really knows anybody. And obviously, you're a RE/MAX, you know what the system is. But opportunities as they come in front of us, we're going to examine them and see if it makes sense for the brokerage, whether it's merging an office into an office or whether it's buying. But you're always in growth mode.
I love it.
I tell Emily all the time, if we're not growing, we're dying.
Yep.
So.
Well, speaking of growth too, transitioning to like your employees and agents, I know you, John, talking about recruiting, it's all about bringing value. So what value, in your opinions, do you bring to the table for your employees and agents that keeps them within your office, do you think?
Well, we're huge on support. And I remember when we first started, and we were at a broker owner conference 5 years ago, and we said we're building our office on support, and somebody in the room under their breath said, well, that'll be a failure. And I remember thinking, no, it won't. Watch, we're going to do it. And I think so. That's what we've done, is we were able to build something. We want the support for the agents for various reasons, but we also when our agents are doing well and our staff is doing well, we're in a healthy culture, right? And I will say the biggest thing too is our staff is we're a team, and we call them our support team. No one's ever called an employee, no one's ever called a staff member. We're also part of the support team, and we're there for our agents.
Love that.
But we give our support team, they have a ton of flexibility. They do their job very well, and I would say, thanks to COVID, right? If we're even allowed to say that anymore.
Yes, ma'am.
The culture, the work environment culture has changed in terms of what people want, right? And so we have allowed our team to have that flexibility, coming and going, bringing their kids to the office, because they couldn't send them to daycare, or they don't want to send them to daycare anymore. And so I think, the support and then the flexibility has been, and the culture. I mean, you can never forget culture, but culture is a huge part of it.
I think as long as, we talk a lot about expectations and performance standards when we talk about the support team, and, as long as things are being handled and the offices are running smooth, and the agents are, again, who we're servicing, the agents are being taken care of, then we're okay. We understand life's difficult. We have a son that had a doctor's appointment today, and then was like, okay, can you take him today? And, so you have to learn to balance it. And as owners, you have to learn to be fair, but as long as they're doing what you expect them to do, and they're performing, or they're performing above that, and that's why I've said from the beginning, I think our support team has been amazing, and a couple of them, 2 or 3 of them, are in brand new roles that is not where they've came from. And so they've had to transition into those roles, and that's not easy for them either. Right? It's new stresses and everything else. But like Emily said, support's always huge for us as owners, whether it's our support team or the agents. Because again, when it started, it was just a handful of agents and just Emily and I,
Absolutely.
And you have to keep bringing people in with your growth so that you can keep growing and you can keep servicing. It's like the restaurant business, right? You have cooks, you have people that are serving, you have people at the front door. There's a lot of moving parts of people doing a lot of different things,
and I think
you have to service that.
The other thing is too is the support team has a clear idea of what our mission and vision is. They understand what we're doing, and when they even tell you, "I love what you guys are doing here. I want to be a part of this." That's somebody you want to keep, right? You want them on your team forever, as long as they're always believing that. And you're working towards the same goal, which is taking care of the agents.
Yeah. Well, and I love that we're talking about your team, because I only have a few more questions, but that's the next one I want to transition into is your support team that you've built to help you delegate and run your brokerages. What would be some important positions that you guys have put into place that you felt have been absolute game changers for your brokerage, whether that be like maybe a director of finance or a marketing position or specific admin positions? What does that kind of look like?
All those. Thank you.
Yes.
No.
Director of technology, I think was a big one. And I think we saw this as an opportunity when we were adding these roles, because sometimes the markets, real estate offices can become very stale. And so for us too, coming on in 2017, it was, we want to be this fresh thing. We want to add all this support. We want all these roles. Why aren't we providing this? Why aren't other brokerages providing this? Right? We weren't getting it. But we have a director of technology. There's so much that RE/MAX offers in terms of like the tools and the tech. We could never teach it, and you could never learn it. And you can master it, but it'll take you some time.
Absolutely.
And it's always changing, right? So how do you even stay on top of that? So we knew right away that we needed a director of technology.
Yeah, and he was. I always think of the second, third year when we were in RE/MAX and we'd be at owners and we would talk about his position, what he was doing, and how he would support the agents and support, showing them how to get their websites up, how to get their social media up, because all things we know they won't do on their own, because it's very time consuming. It's great that all the tools that the brand gives, and they're not hard to use. There's just a lot of them. And then as I saw the second year, more of my friends had director of technologies, and the third year more technology.
Right? You're doing an onboarding, but then we also have a director. He's also our director of marketing, but we also have a director of like social media / marketing as well. She has a true marketing background and social media background. And she's there to help with any of their social media needs. She's there to help with if an agent needs a flyer made or a postcard made, or they want us to do some farming for them, then we've got somebody who's available to design that postcard and help you find that area and get it sent off for printing.
I'm so glad that you brought that one up. That's been one that I've been thinking on too for our agents here within our brokerage, is somebody to help with just generalized marketing on a social level or postcard level, any of that. It's in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, no, it's you learn. I mean, honestly, I looked at this coming into this year and we saw the agents were exhausted, and I would see a box of thank you cards sitting on the side, and I would see a half done postcard idea. And I thought, okay, as a brokerage, what can we do? And at what level do we do it? We have broker owner friends in the RE/MAX system that, they have a basic program and then they have a cost program, right? So it's like, you're going to step to that next admin. So we're kind of tinkering with it right now, where we're doing thank you cards. We're sending out Google reviews. We're doing custom postcards with them, helping them with the tools. So our marketing person in office is now evolving to some of those. And so we're just kind of feeling it out, seeing how it's going. But a lot of it just comes, you see it in their eyes and you're like, what do they need help with next?
Well, like our director of technology is working with a few agents, helping them clean up their CRM. The last 2 years has been a super fast market where some of our agents, they have not been maintaining their CRM. They haven't been working their sphere. They haven't had to, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
As we're starting to see a shift, we're starting to know we're preaching, fill that pipeline. Things are changing. The market's changing. And so a lot of them have come to our director of technology and they're like, help me clean out my database. Help me regroup, clean it out, get it back to where it needs to be so it's running and helping me find business and staying in front of my clients. And I think that's a tedious task.
Yeah.
But if you have somebody there to help you through it, you're willing to do it. And they're holding you accountable. They're saying, hey, I got this done for you today. Now, can you please go in and do this? And they're doing it.
Like he did a class today on just catching up on what tools you should be using, right? If you're not
that's great.
all, you should be using these. And, and it's, again, all in the Remax system. And then, he'll do weekly, every Friday, he'll kind of do
a learning library. We have our own little learning library YouTube as well. So, and it's great that you can see when the agents are going there, when they're, so it's just great that it's all recorded and they can learn live or they can learn later.
Well, I have to tell you, I have to give John a shout out here because our YouTube channel was totally from that idea when I was talking to him about a year and a half ago. So I took that and totally ran with it.
Yeah, no, it's pretty great. And like I said, what's great is it's another resource for the agents. It's always there. And, there's the fast forward in our Remax system has very similar videos where the agents could go. But, I think you're just always showing your value. We're always saying, here's what we're providing for you. What do you need to learn? And then they can also, with any of our support team, they can schedule one-on-ones, whether it's business planning, goals, how do I farm, whatever it may be. There's one-on-ones are always available.
I love it. Well, sorry, a couple more questions, just a few more. Last one, before I kind of get back to you guys personally, but what would be some advice that you would offer to our listeners or agents right now about business growth, especially with the current market conditions, thinking about things like the importance of working your database currently, or just generalized advice at all?
Well, I think to the agents, the biggest thing, I think we had an influx of agents, right, who came in when the market was hot and super easy, and they probably were never learned properly how to work their sphere and how to work their database or their CRM. And so I would say you always have to be filling your pipeline. You have to stay in front of your sphere. Sure, it may not close in 30 days, but how are you going to, afford to eat in December? Let's talk about it. These are the things that you have to be doing to grow. So I would say, it doesn't matter if you're a business owner or if you're an agent. An agent, you are a business owner, but it doesn't matter what side you're on, I should say. You have to always make sure you have your systems in place and you're growing and you're staying in touch with your sphere.
Yeah, I did a little video the other day, and I was talking about the shift in the market. And what agents should be doing. And there's only, it always gets back to the basics, and I know you guys have a lot of big teams and big agents there. And, I always know if I'm talking with one of our team leaders or a higher producing agent, I can say, you should go try this. And they will go out and do it. I say, you should get in a mastermind. They'll go out and they'll do whatever it takes to keep growing. As Emily said earlier, a lot of agents that have never seen a change in the market, a shift in the market, don't understand. And there's all kinds, right? 07, 08 was a mortgage thing, completely different. Right. When I hear people go, oh, it's going to be like 07, 08, I'm like, no, it's not. It's a completely different thing. And so I just, for us, it's always to educate the agents. But I think the agents always have to know to keep learning, that is, I can tell you, I walk up and down the halls and I will preach things to them. And I'm like, there's a reason why this works,
Yeah.
You have to do things that nobody else is willing to do. And it's not that it's hard things. It's just a lot of agents today aren't willing to go out and do those things.
Absolutely. Right? Or with consistency over time. Yeah. I found even with training, myself, it's always database, filling that pipeline, and then taking action consistently over time. Yeah. I feel like a broken record most of the time.
Yeah. No, that's okay. You have to repeat the things that works, some get it and some don't. Our market is, I'm sure very different than there, where we have a lot of flat fee brokerages, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's no value in the office. And so, for us to say our value is education, training, or complete agent development. It's not that we're the most expensive, but what we're going to show you is how to make more money and make a career instead of just doing onesie twosies. And that, some people just want to do onesie twosies. So,
Right.
That's fine as long as they know who they want to be in the business. But you can't say, and I hear agents that'll come meet with me in a recruiting room and they're like, I want to be like so-and-so agent. And I'm like, I know that agent. They work 7 days a week. They hustle. They will do whatever it takes to get a deal done. It's not just, I want to be them. You got to do what they're doing if you want to be like them. Guess what? They're going to be still doing it. So you're competing against them. So
it kind of takes me back to like that, what Jared James said the other day. I think I was watching some video he did where he's like, most people are either renting their business or they own their business. And I thought that was like mind-blowingly brilliant.
Yeah. And Sean Power said to us in the very beginning, I don't know if you're familiar with Sean Power, but he had said, and it still sticks with me today when I come across certain agents, and it's, I can't hear you through your actions, and it's very, very, that was very eye-opening to me. And it is today too, still, for those agents who want more, but aren't willing to do the things.
And it's not just doing the things, right? We're big believers in coaching. We're big believers in, we have a director of development in our office, Deidre, who I think you spoke with last week.
Loved her.
She's also our branch broker of the Edmond office. So she's always in front of the agents, but they have to be willing to learn. I tell people, Emily and I have a business coach. We have a profitability. We work with David Scott, who wrote Momentum. We have Peter Mueller, who's a profitability coach, because it's always not about how many transactions you do or how much your volume is. As Peter says, that's great for the award shows, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's across the stage. It's how much profit did you make in the end? So knowing that just spending all your money to close transactions is not always important. But really that development part of it for an agent to step in and say, okay, like I said earlier, 2 minds are better than one. And I just happened to look down on your screen. It says it's 66 there and raining. And I'm like, what?
It is actually like almost over 100 and super humid here.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what it is here. I don't know why it said that. I caught my eye. So
yeah.
But it caught my eye. I know you. But
no, you're good.
Training, the sequence of complete agent development of, having the 4 keys to success, a goal, a plan, vital activities, and continuously improving, and doing it through coaching, consulting, and training. That's what allows agents to put those pieces together, to be good at, for us, we do a lot of, we talk with our agents about agent insights and all the different things they can do to create those activities, but they have to be willing to learn and grow.
Right.
You see as Jeff and Jason and Ebby and them, they go to all the meetings, right? We go to all the meetings, and it's not just what we're learning sitting there. It's what we're learning sitting together. I can stand on the side with, Jeff and Jason for 2-3 hours and learn so much more than I do at the conference. And not that the conference is bad, but it's a little bit more real world when you're talking with people that are in your same shoes.
Right. Well, and it's so valuable to be able to take all of that information back and apply it with your agents and help them, even further excel. I know Jeff and Jason and I, we talk about that all the time. I mean, I went to R4 this last year for my first R4 experience. And I mean, I tell you what, I came back probably like the Energizer Bunny. I was so jazzed. It was awesome.
Yeah. And we always tell our agents you should be attending all the events, like the Tech and Touch, or the region just had
luxury.
The luxury just had their one thing.
Texas, yeah.
But whatever they're being put on, we say you guys should be going. I said not only are you learning, but you're networking with other agents who, think about that business that you're creating there too, right? So I mean, somebody sends you a referral, right? I mean, that's great money. It could be easy money.
Right? Yeah, and great relationships. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and you just, you learn to help each other. You learn to, you learn to lean on. I know for us, a lot of when we first started the first office, there are broker owners in our region that, I reached out to all the time. And even though they were in different markets, you have some of the same problems as an owner. And being in such an amazing network with RE/MAX, not only for owners, but for agents and, just like Deidre and yourself doing this together, that's something that you can never take away, and you're always growing, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
I know that's your guys's mission statement behind you, right? It's growing, thriving, inspiring, right?
Yep. Grow, thrive, inspire. It's awesome.
So I've been around long enough to know that's what your guys' mission statement is.
All right. Last question. This one's for fun. Rapid fire to the both of you on a personal side. I love asking this at the end of every show with all my guests. So first one, where is an area of growth you want to experience in either your personal or professional life?
Well, personally, I want to travel more, for sure. And then obviously growing is in our professional life. Just always to be growing.
Always adding new ideas, always, again, back to learning.
Making sure the agents are taken care of.
And I'm assuming she's traveling, I'll be going with her. So part of my.
I love it. In what area are you both currently thriving?
Well, it's funny because we were talking about this earlier, and I always hate to ever think that I'm thriving in anything, because I always want to approach something very, very thankful, very humble. And I don't ever want to think, well, I'm thriving in that area, therefore I don't need to work on it.
Right.
Like we say, comfort is the enemy of growth. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, I would say are we thriving? We have a healthy culture. We have a healthy office, but I also think that we're very thankful for everything that we have. At least I know I am.
The whole idea of your brokerage is to have a thriving, healthy office,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it doesn't necessarily mean for us to feel that way, but for the office to be that way, for everybody to feel that way, for the support, for us as owners, and for the agents, that we all feel like we're thriving and growing, right? I almost just read your mission statement again, just to throw it out there. But no, I mean, it's look, we're not arrogant. We're really down to earth people. It'd be hard for you to get us to think we do anything well. We just love seeing the success of people that are around us. And it's not just in our offices. It's our friends, it's you guys, it's everybody around us, because it makes you feel good when you see everybody getting and doing well.
Well, I was going to say that must be your answer to this last one, which is what inspires you?
The success of our agents, I think, because their success is our success, right? And so, and when you can see their excitement and feel their excitement, and they're just running and they get it, I think it's the success of, and also even our support team, right? You can see that they're happy, they enjoy what they're doing. I think it's full circle.
That, or they're all lying to us when we show up at the office. But no, I mean, you said it earlier, like when an agent comes back and they're reaching their goals, or they're hitting their aspirations, or they're able to go on trips with their family that maybe they couldn't before. And, it's nice to see that, that smile on their face, and even now where the market's as crazy as ever. And
success is different to each person. You have a lot of different agents who come to you and they just want more time, right? Mm-hmm. Right. Some of them want to, they want to be a $10-15 million producer, and some of them just want to sell their first $1 million house,
right.
Which is a lot in our city. But so everyone's success is different. So I think it's really cool when that happens for them, and then they call you and they tell you about it, and then you're kind of like, okay, somewhere along the way, I've touched that person. They've listened to me. We've been an influence, a positive influence, and things are working.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Grow, Thrive, Inspire listeners, we could not be more thankful to John and Emily for being here today and providing us with great insight to business growth and following your dreams. You can connect with John at jaskin@homeokc.com or Emily at easkin@remax.net. We have more episodes coming, so be sure to tune back in on Wednesdays and like and subscribe to our pages for the latest updates. You can find us on all the platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and locally on Key Radio 89.3 FM in Osage Beach. And remember to always grow, thrive, and inspire, and we'll catch you next time.